Witnessing China developing by leaps and bounds, he praises China's model of modernization and says it provides a pathway and offers practical solutions to developing nations. With infrastructure, healthcare, culture, he hopes that comprehensive cooperation between the two countries can usher in new development opportunities to Sierra Leone. Citing equality, trust, and respect, he reckons that these are the enduring keywords of the China-Africa friendship. President Julius Maada Bio of Sierra Leone sits down with Leaders Talk for an exclusive interview.
Hello and welcome to Leaders Talk, where we meet leaders, thinkers, and trailblazers. I'm Guan in Beijing, and our guest today is the President of Sierra Leone, Dr. Julius Maada Bio. Now, he is the first head of state from Africa to visit China in the year 2024. What brings him here? Sierra Leone, effective in 2024, will become a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. How will this membership help solidify the cooperation of the Global South and help resolve the thorny issues the world currently faces? Here's my conversation with President Bio. His Excellency President Bio, thank you so much for this opportunity. We're so honored. Or should I say, Audibody, His Excellency.
You're welcome. Thank you.
President Bio, been here for this 6-day state visit, the second state visit of your presidency. What have impressed you the most?
Orderliness. I see discipline, and I see that with discipline, a lot can be achieved. You can see orderliness, respect for time, and these, I think, are the hallmarks of a society that wants to make progress. It is very easy for us as leaders to propose, but any good leader thinks very well, and you dive back into the past, and you think about your people and their future, there are certain characteristics that they have before you propose a leap forward in development. And it is left with these people to either follow you or how you communicate your dreams, your aspiration, your vision to them. We have to be able to convince our people to follow us. That, I think, has happened here. So I see that the discipline with which the society carries themselves, I think is a good part, good reason why China has been able to register this sort of development in a very short time.
President Bio, after your summit with the Chinese President Xi Jinping, a joint declaration said this about the Chinese path to modernization, and I quote, "The Chinese path offered viable paths and practices for those developing countries who want to carve out their own model of development." And of course, this Chinese path towards modernization is a key concept during the 2 sessions of China. What is your biggest takeaway from this Chinese path?
How quickly they've been able to get to where they are today stems from the fact that I think they have adopted very good measures in terms of development, in terms of preparing their people, because development is not just about the leader who proposes it, but also about the people who have to follow. It's a mindset that must be there. So we believe that the rate at which they have progressed from where they were is impressive. And this is why we try to work very closely behind them to understudy how they were able to make such a fast progress.
Apparently, on social media, you once said you commend President Xi Jinping's quote-unquote transformative leadership that has repositioned China globally. Being in touch with him a couple of times on all these occasions, what do you think of him as a person and also as a leader?
A very focused person who knows what he wants for his people and is not distracted by the noise of the market. He has decided on a vision, he has sold that to the people, and it is working for China. Again, there is a huge aspect of discipline there, because It's wanting to create a vision, and it's quite another thing to follow it to the end. He has been consistent, focused, and with all the many noise that goes around him in terms of distractions, as a world power, he has remained focused on the development of his people. This is what I meant when I said that he is definitely a leader worthy of emulation.
Any interesting interactions between you and him?
We've had very pleasant exchanges, and most of them were just about lessons learned. I believe that China has a lot to teach us, and as a leader, there are things that I was also puzzled about, and I did ask him, and he was very polite to explain and keep explaining. And for the most part, he reaffirmed to me some of the things that I have already started doing. You know, and one was, I asked him, I have only 8 million people to feed. You have 1.4 billion people to feed. How did you do it? He smiled back at me and said, you have to start somewhere, and you have to be consistent. You have to start with roads and bridges. So when we talk about the roads initiative, it actually, infrastructure is so critical for a nation in terms of development that without it, it is difficult to make any progress. And when he said that to me, he basically confirmed not my doubt, but something I was doing, but maybe not too sure about.
Sierra Leone is located in West Africa. It shares borders with Guinea to the north and northeast, Liberia to the southeast, and faces the Atlantic Ocean to the west and southwest. Despite the geographical distance between Sierra Leone and China, the two nations have forged a solid bond of friendship through cooperation, a vivid illustration that a bosom friend afar brings a distant land near. Collaboration between China and Sierra Leone is centered around infrastructure development, extending to areas such as people's livelihood, education, agriculture, and mining. Since 1973, 24 Chinese medical teams have been dispatched to Sierra Leone, earning praise from the local population. In 2014, when the Ebola epidemic broke out, China took prompt action and provided urgent assistance. During his inaugural visit to China in 2018, President Bio extended his sincere gratitude to President Xi Jinping. There is a proverb in Sierra Leone that says, "You can never tie a knot with one hand." With joint efforts from both sides, the China-Sierra Leone friendship is gradually forming beautiful concentric knots.
Under China-Sierra Leone partnership and solidarity, many projects have come to fruition. Roads, bridges, for example, this Lonely-Judah Bridge under this Belt and Road Initiative. How important are these infrastructures to the lives of the Sierra Leoneans?
Well, bridges, as you know, physically link one part to another, and it can be a serious obstacle, especially in our part of the world where it rains very heavily at one time of the year, and where you have schools on the other side and health facilities on the other side. It prevents people from both sides to access those facilities. And those who attempt, in the middle of the rains, we have accidents, where kids get drowned because they're using a small canoe to go across, just maybe to go to school or to access health facilities, pregnant women, and so on and so forth. I must commend the leadership here for supporting some of those initiatives, like the Juba Bridge that you just mentioned. There are other roads. The stadium that we have is an example. Quite a lot as far as Chinese infrastructure development is concerned. They've been of immense importance to us.
Talking about public health, Mr. President, there are currently, as far as we know, at least 3 branches, 3 missions of Chinese medical teams currently servicing in your beautiful country, Sierra Leone, including several mobile clinics, right?
Yes.
And out of your very busy schedule, we saw images of you, attending the launch ceremonies of those missions, going to the service stations. Why would you do that? How would you describe what Chinese doctors and nurses having been doing for the people of Sierra Leone?
Well, I will start with the bosses. They go out to communities. Again, there are so many aspects to poverty that a lot of people would not understand. People, those who are really poor, are shy or intimidated by big institutions like a hospital where you have a doctor sitting or doctors and you have other medical practitioners. Even when they feel ill, they are intimidated by that structure to go and say, I need help.
The hassle and everything.
Yes, of course, they have to travel distances. But when a boss that has basic medical equipment goes to their community, they can easily access it and get the services they need. And that was what happened when we received 5 buses from China that were equipped with basic medical facilities, lab and blood and other labs that are on board with the requisite manpower. They go around to communities, checking or screening, and people have been turning out in large numbers.
Also, Mr. President, we heard that the Confucius Institute is quite an institution in your capital city, Freetown, embedded to the University of Sierra Leone. It is quickly becoming a hub of cultural immersion, cultural mutual learning, whereby a lot of people took up martial arts, kung fu classes, tai chi classes, Chinese learning classes. Is that true? How popular is the Confucius Institute there?
Chinese culture, Chinese people, and everything that is Chinese is becoming commonplace in Sierra Leone and around the world. And therefore, people are anxious to know more about China, the culture, the language. And that is why the Confucius Institute is a popular place, because people want to be able to engage, understand the culture out here.
Previously, you described China as a brotherly partner and steadfast ally of Sierra Leone. Why did you say that?
After 52 years of diplomatic relationship with China, the People's Republic of China, I think we are in a good position to characterize China as a reliable and dependable partner. On several occasions, through thick and thin, they've always come through. Where they have promised, they have delivered without making unnecessary demands. And when we are in need and ask them for help, as we would normally do, they will always respond positively. So after 52 years of this sort of relationship, I think we are in a very good position to characterize them as a dependable partner.
Your Excellency, during your summit with President Xi, he said this. He said our bilateral relations are becoming a model of China-Africa solidarity and cooperation. Do you agree? Do you look at that way too?
Yes, that is what we really want to do. I mean, the relationship between China and Sierra Leone, we want it to be the example for the rest of Africa. One, we have been dependable partners also on our part, where we have promised China in terms of support. And on other issues too, where China has promised, they have delivered. They have never failed us. And in times of difficulty like COVID, we had support. We had not necessarily asked for it, but because we needed it, they offered that sort of support.
You're watching breaking news on CGTN. You're watching CGTN with the latest market-moving headlines from around the world.
Welcome to the world today on CGTN.
In recent years, under the strategic guidance of the leaders from both countries, political mutual trust between China and Sierra Leone has steadily been strengthened, pragmatic cooperation has progressed seamlessly, and international collaboration has become even closely knit, injecting new impetus into the long-standing friendship between the two nations. In Freetown, the capital of Sierra Leone, several landmarks are intricately tied to China. The China-Sierra Leone Friendship Building has stood for decades. The China-Sierra Leone Friendship Road serves as a vital transportation artery, and Chinese and Sierra Leonean builders are collaboratively engaging in renovating the Sierra Leone National Stadium. To support agricultural development in Sierra Leone, China not only provides assistance with machinery for local rice production, but also helps establish rice cultivation technology promotion stations and trains professionals in agriculture. These places are a testament to the friendship between China and Sierra Leone, sowing the seeds of hope for China-Africa cooperation and development. On February 17, 2024, President Xi Jinping pointed out in his congratulatory message to the 37th African Union Summit that the world is undergoing profound changes unseen in a century, and the Global South, represented by China and Africa, is booming, which has a profound impact on the course of world history. At the forthcoming summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, to be held in Beijing later in 2024, China will focus on delivering benefits to the people of both sides, draw up a new blueprint for China-Africa cooperation, and promote the joint building of a high-level China-Africa community with a shared future.
Looking forward, Your Excellency, there is expected to be this Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, FOCAC, later this year. What do you think distinguishes this platform, this mechanism, from previous paradigms involving Africa and its external partners?
Africa's relationship with China is under scrutiny, and quite a lot of people, organizations, countries are trying to look at this as predatory. I would speak on behalf of my own country and say that we are not fools. We have gone willingly into a relationship that we think is a win-win. We have relationships with other institutions around countries around the world, and that has been going on for a century, and we have not benefited. If we find a new friend and we are trying to work together, of course it will attract a lot of attention. But we just want to be sure that whatever we do is for the development of our people. And I think after so many years of deep cooperation with China, we are getting to understand ourselves better. We are getting to know that you don't just come cap in hand and think that China has all the money in the world or resources to give to you. We have to have ways of interacting so that it is beneficial too, because that is the only way that relationship can be sustainable, by making sure that we exchange services, we exchange other goods and services, so that it becomes a continuous relationship rather than just a begging relationship. So I'm sure that the whole world will be watching, and because of this meeting, quite a lot of the other poles around the world are, inviting Africa. It's becoming a trend now. Africa this, Africa that, meetings. But we have a shared vision of where we want to go, and that is to join the rest of the world. and live an admirable life, provide for our people.
That is the very right. Our African brothers and sisters truly deserve a whole lot. China's approach towards Africa has been encapsulated by President Xi Jinping's 4 cardinal principles of sincerity, real results, amity, and good faith. And of course, to build this China-Africa community of shared future, the high quality building of it. Do you see those ideals becoming a reality?
I think they are already at display. Like talking about amity, that is true friendship, that is a sign of respect for others. We are not being looked down upon. We are considered as equals at that level. And that is what every human being wants. So when you talk about amity, you talk about respect, trust. When you have a friend that promises and delivers without strings, you know that this is a friend indeed. And so you can trust that friend. So all of what has been used to characterize this relationship are already there in display in this relationship. And that is why it is durable. And that is why it is working.
Yeah, Your Excellency, I know that Sierra Leone is taking the non-permanent membership of the United Nations Security Council. How do you plan to use this Security Council membership in the coming year?
We come from the point that Sierra Leone has had to go through 11 years civil war. That is one of the most difficult periods we have had to endure as a nation. The bitterness of that period, the strife, the misery that period caused us has taught us serious lessons. After nearly 11 years of civil war, we had to sit around the table to end the war after having killed and destroyed so much. I said it. I went into the bush. I got the rebel leader to come out. But it took quite a lot of the effort of other people to settle our differences. So when you have huge projects of that nature, the leader alone is not enough. The people have to be part of it. We go to the United Nations Security Council in the non-permanent category as with a lot of lessons that we've learned that we can share with the world. That dialogue is important. So having gone through that period as a small nation that also got a lot of support from the United Nations to get out of that civil war, we now want to contribute to peace and security around the world by sharing with them how we did it and how we have been able to progress ever since.
There are so many schools of thoughts on how to deal with the other party that you differ with. Peace through strength is one school, and the other school says it should be peace through reconciliation. What do you think?
Well, I will go for reconciliation because when you use strength,
you deter.
You deter, of course, and it may just be for a while. What if the other part is strengthened or more powerful at another time, 20 years later, 50 years later, 100 years later, and they come back to use their strength? We are not going to have a peaceful world. Besides, however destructive you might be, you will not eliminate everybody. The bitterness you leave will always come to chase you, if not you, maybe your children. And that zero-sum game is what we have to avoid. With dialogue, reconciliation, we can resolve quite a lot. And that is what I believe in.
Very important takeaways, considering what's happening in the Middle East, in Eastern Europe. On the global stage, President Xi proposed China's Global Development Initiative, Global Security Initiative, as well as Global Civilization Initiative, which have in effect become China's organizing principle of how it's dealing with countries. How do you look at the value of these Chinese proposals proposed by President Xi?
The world is changing very rapidly, and we need to be thinking about how we can shift from time to time. And I think the new approach by China is a way to capture the world as it is today and see how China can play a more useful role in the current world. We are quite distracted as a world community. Too many things are happening around the world that are not necessarily good. We have missed our focus instead of paying attention to what can make us better. There is too much misery. Monies are being spent on unnecessary strife around the world instead of paying attention to moving people out of poverty. So the development initiative, the security sector that is being proposed now is actually meant to refocus the world and say, yes, here is the problem that we have, and this is what we should be dealing with.
President Bio, thank you so much for talking to us.
You're welcome.
President Bio, during the interview, also said that he looks forward to the Forum of China-Africa Cooperation, which is likely to take place later this year. This forum, according to many analysts, is quickly becoming a platform of synergy creation between China and Africa, and indeed the Global South. Thank you for watching this episode of Leaders Talk. I'm Wang in Beijing. I'll see you again next time.